Who's the craziest pull you've done?
Craziest pull I've seen in shop.
Yeah.
Because of that baseline magic. And he pulled a Justin Herbert red cracked ice.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Paulo Gonzalez. I'm a card collector. We're still here at Baseline Sports Cards, and now joining us is Nick Rutman. Nick, could you tell us your role in the store?
So pretty much, I got here around the end of 2020. My main job or whatever is I handle all our social media stuff. So I run our Instagram, our Facebook, pretty much all that kind of stuff. So my goal is more to expand the Baseline brand, and that's pretty much it.
So you are the one who created that magical hashtag, that
Correct,
Baseline
yes.
Magic.
That was me. Yeah.
What's the story behind that, my friend?
Well, that Baseline Magic thing, it really is real. When people rip here, and by the way, side note, it is such a great community here. Most of the guys that come here, we're all like, very, very good friends with, because it's a great environment to be in. So, there's times where people would like to, buy boxes, maybe get some deals, but I always try to emphasize that if you rip here, there's something special in the air, because I've seen some absolutely crazy pulls here, and the ones pulled in shop versus out, you might not hear about it as much, but I've seen such amazing cards here. So that's why one day I was like, man, that's the Baseline Magic.
I would agree to that. Again, I don't think you remember, but last Black Friday, I bought that UFC card.
Right.
And I was going home. You said, hey, wait, why don't you open it here? Then I was like, are you sure? I don't have sleeves. And then you said, I got your sleeves.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I pulled that Zabit. And I know for some people right now, Zabit isn't a big name, but us being MMA fans, we know that Zabit, he's going to be one of the big names in the future if he stays healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the one kind of the issue with him. He's been plagued with injuries the last couple of years, but my main focus for what I collect is UFC/MMA stuff and then basketball. But if people remember, Khabib, early on in his UFC career, he had very large gaps where he didn't fight because of his injuries as well.
For sure.
And then finally, once he started to kind of get healthy and get better, he ended up dominating everyone. So I feel like Zabit is one of those guys as well that he's got the skills to do it. He just needs to hold it together.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned that UFC and basketball are the ones you are collecting. Let's see some of that Rutman magic, man.
So this is the one card that I brought. I should have brought a couple more, but this is my LeBron James 2003 Topps Pristine PSA 10.
It's like the Jordan with the gold diamond at the back.
Yep. So this one's numbered out of 1999. This is one of the more highly coveted LeBron rookie cards. It's also got the gold diamond from Mike Baker. We had the idea to send all these cards out to Mike Baker at the Chicago Sports Spectacular last month. We figured why not give it a shot, and it ended up being very well. So I think that it's a nice touch for especially the higher end cards, because at least you can distinguish, not every 10 is the same.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So, and all in all, I mean, this is just one of my favorite cards of all time. So
I don't know if you remember the last trade night, you brought out a pile of PSA graded cards. You said, we can look at it. Then suddenly when we saw that card, you just pick it up and put it in your pocket and said, that you cannot see.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much, but it was more like, that's not for sale. You know what I mean?
How many cards did you pull or graded that when you saw it, immediately you said, I'm not selling this? similar to that one?
Man, there's a lot, that's kind of the issue with being a collector first, is I really don't want to sell any of my stuff. I wish I could keep all of it, but there are some guys at certain time periods where it just makes sense because of where their price point is at to get rid of it. Because I know in the back of my head, for the most part, you can just rebuy those cards later anyway. But yeah, that's...
Is there a fear, like you did mention there would be cards that would be so expensive then the price normalizes, but specifically with cards like that, do you feel that it may normalize but you might not find that kind of NBA gold card again?
Right. So even with, the market, especially the last 6 months, has really been in a correction phase. So we've seen a lot of really, really big cards come down, and we've seen a lot of really, really big cards go up. So at the end of the day, like what Ryan was saying is, if you invest in your Hall of Famers, the legends, guys that are all-stars, superstars, well, even if they go down a little for the higher end stuff, there's always going to be such more demand than the cards that are available to buy. So I'm not really worried about a lot of that kind of stuff. That's just kind of how the game goes,
For sure. Now, you are the magic puller when it comes to box breaks. And for people watching right now, I mean, the Philippines is so high on basketball. Based on your experience, which box has the best pull? Because, like, there would be box breaks for, like, a Hoops, a Prism,
right,
a Court Kings. If someone would be joining a box break, what kind of box would you be more than willing for them to advise to join on?
Well, that's kind of a hard question because the way how the hobby works is, there's different kind of tiers for product, right?
Well, let's start like with the lower tier.
Right.
So what would you say in the lower tier? Like,
so Hoops was always the first release of the year for rookies in their NBA uniforms.
Yeah.
So, Hoop stuff is real hot in the beginning, but then, it kind of dies down a little bit.
Exactly.
Prism is, of course, for whatever reason, is always king. People are always...
Do you still believe that now? Is Prism still king right now?
I still think that because so many people like that design and the product itself, people will always kind of gravitate towards it. But we've seen a big shift in a lot of these kind of not low numbered parallels, because Prism has so many, there's 50, 70 parallels for every guy that, some of the lower end ones aren't as desired as they used to be because people are catching on to how much there is,
So this card is like a Topps Pristine. Is that one of your favorite card designs? Because me personally, I like the Fleer Metal, the Bowman's Chrome. I mean, what's your favorite card design?
Man, that's a hard one. I personally, like, for me PCing, I love doing Court Kings. And I bought a couple Court Kings cards from you too, man. But I like the stuff that doesn't really look like anything else.
Yeah, and I don't remember if you do, but I was asking you why aren't anybody grading Court Kings that much? Like, I barely see a Court Kings rookie card.
Right. So they're generally a little bit harder to grade
because of the canvas.
Yeah, because it's the canvas, and it's usually an all colored card. So on the back, white is much easier shown. Like, for example, last year I had a Zion Aurora, which is the case hit.
Yeah.
So it was a big rookie card of his, and I knew that if I sent it in, I mean, the best I can get is like a 9 or an 8, and that was straight out the box.
Yeah, for sure.
So I ended up deciding to just sell it raw, and it ended up going for more than what it sold for graded anyway. So it was a good choice.
Yeah, and that's another question. You being a box breaker, I mean, what are your thoughts regarding Panini when it comes to their boxes? Do you feel that they're rushing it? Because me personally, I opened one of those draft contenders box, and it's coming out straight from the box, but I can see the edges are jagged. of
Yeah.
each card.
So that's something we've seen a lot of, like we have a lot of guys rip product in store. Obviously Ryan rips a bunch too. So, I see everything, but what I've really noticed, especially for this year of 2020 to 21, the quality of the cards have really gone down. Which is such a shame because, you still want to get those LaMelos or Anthony Edwards or Cole Anthonys, but, not even for basketball, but UFC as well. There were so many, we've probably ripped close to 70, 80 hobby boxes of Select in the last few months, Select UFC, and a lot of the biggest cards that were pulled had factory flaws with them.
Exactly.
So
it's crazy.
It's kind of a bummer when that happens, but sometimes Panini's cool with that, and you contact them and they'll give you a new card, but that also happens few and far between.
I know. What are your thoughts regarding card companies and their relationship to the stores? Because you should get the first dibs when it comes to the new releases, but if I'm not mistaken, sometimes you have to buy it on the resale market.
Yeah, that's more prevalent for newer shops because so many guys just got in the game since after the pandemic. It takes a long time to get your allocations up from distributors. So if you a lot of people can probably attest to this as well. If you walk into a brand new card shop, well, there's probably going to be a lot of retail there instead of hobby boxes.
For sure.
Because, you just have to keep ordering. That's how you get your allocations up, and that's how you get the good stuff later down the line.
Now with Fanatics coming in, is that going to be a good thing for you guys, or is it going to be different or worse? Or are you just clueless of how it's going?
No, I mean, I really don't like how it's been. The owner of Fanatics, he's released a couple statements about what he wants to do once they acquire all the licenses, and it seems to me from what he said that he wants to pretty much cut the hobby shops out, leave them high and dry, and just sell everything from from their warehouses and their website to distributors, shops, and just consumers. So I don't think that's a great idea. I think that'll hurt a lot of small business.
Well, aside from hurting a lot of small business, the hobby, because you guys live stream your breaks, and I'm not owning any of the cards, but when I see you pulling out great cards, I become happy for you guys, and it makes me realize that, hey, there is still a chase card that I could go for.
Right.
And if they're going to make it warehouse straight to the consumer, then if I open it at home and I don't have a video as proof for it, then nobody would know those cards exist, right?
Right, for sure, man. The problem is if you cut out all distributors, they're gonna pretty much have a monopoly and corner the market. So you can only see what's going to happen, but it kind of sucks, but it's still a long way, so we'll see what happens.
Well, when it comes to high-end boxes, what would you suggest for basketball?
So this year has been actually really tough for big cards because there's been very few products where the autographs are on card. Sticker autographs are whatever, but on-card autographs, especially for the rookies, that's the most desired. So there's only been a few products like that, which is Contenders, Optic Contenders just came out.
Yeah, they came out.
Spectra for low-numbered RPAs, and National Treasures. So National Treasures was actually the first product of the year that featured LaMelo Ball on-card autographs that weren't redemptions.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we gotta go to the part of the show where you help us assist in terms of sports card investing. Who's a player that they should be buying right now?
One of the main guys I've been heavily buying is Donovan Mitchell. I think right now his stuff is so low compared to the talent that he has that it's almost a no-brainer to gobble up the bigger stuff if you can find a great deal on. But when it comes down to maybe some of the newer guys from this draft class or from last year's. I mean, Anthony Edwards is killing it. Cole Anthony's doing pretty good. LaMelo, of course, but it comes in waves. Every month it seems like there's a new guy that everyone's buying right away. So you just got to read into what the market wants in that given week, and you'll find the guys to buy and play.
Now, we're in Chicago. The Bulls is the team here. There are 3 rookies during the last year. We got Ayo Dosunmu now. We got Pat Will last year, then Kobe White the year before. With those 3 names, who would you collect?
I'm actually really excited to get some Ayo cards, man. He's been doing great. I hate how we got to wait till 2022 to get 2021 rookies and stuff. Patrick Williams, it was a real bummer that he had that wrist injury, because he was looking, pretty good, and I feel like he would have had great chemistry with Lonzo and DeMar and Levine playing, having more time with them than the very limited time he played with them this season. As for Kobe White, he was a guy I bought a lot of last year for cheap, but he's been very uneventful.
Are you giving up on Kobe White? That goes my next question. Who's a player that you should sell right now?
Miles Bridges, he's still on fire. Everyone at the end of last year really loved Kevin Porter Jr., Michael Porter Jr., those guys, and they've just absolutely tanked thus far. So if you've held on for this long, you might as well hold a little longer. But in terms of sell, I don't know if I would really sell many guys right now, because we're at that weird point in the mid-season where everyone's kind of not focused at people watching basketball, at least.
For sure.
So once the All-Star break happens, that's when stuff really ramps up, and then gears up before the playoffs and the hype comes back up. So
now, since you are the breaker, can you give us an update on Baseline Breaks? Is it coming back? When is it coming back?
Yes, it'll definitely be back. Like I was telling you before we started, we're going to renovate the shop, because we just have very limited space here, and we like to keep everything in-house. But once that happens, probably around the springtime, we're going to bring the breaks back, and I'm sure it'll be better than ever before. So just bear with us, guys. Just a little longer and we'll have it back.
Slow and steady is better.
Right.
Who's the craziest pull you've done?
I'll probably give you a better example. That craziest pull I've seen in shop, because of that Baseline Magic. For sure. One of our customers who's a regular, he opened up a box of Optic Contenders, and he pulled a Justin Herbert red cracked ice, and that was numbered, I think, it was alone. I can't remember.
Was that his rookie year?
Yeah, it was rookie auto cracked ice. That card, it's at PSA, so that comes back at 10. That card's worth upwards of $30,000-$40,000. So that was between that one and a Cristiano Ronaldo Superfractor 1/1 out of Topps Finest. That was another absolute monster. There have been so many great cards here.
For sure.
That I'm sure even, real big ones that I can't think of off the top of my head, but you'll see it on Instagram every day when we post them.
Definitely we'll see it. Now, last question. Basketball, football, baseball are the big thing, but what's the next sport that you think would pop out?
For sure, UFC. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Right now, and that's the reason we ripped so many boxes early on, was because your return on investment for UFC cards is much higher than any other sport right now, because it almost seems like you need to open a case of basketball or football to get a couple of good cards.
Yeah.
But for UFC, there are so many different stars and in different weight classes that there's a lot of potential to hit really good cards in them. So I really think that with Panini having the license for UFC, they only released 3 products this year: Prism, Chronicles, and Select. So next year, Immaculate's going to come out right at the beginning of the year.
Whoa.
I think that's going to be absolutely huge. And then I think the sky's the limit for UFC cards after that. So
before we let you go, man, it's time to invite everybody to the shop.
Yeah, dude. So we're right here off the border between Streamwood and Schaumburg. Our address is, on our social medias if anyone would like to come. Follow us, Baseline Cards. That's our handle for both IG, TikTok, and Facebook. So we like to really keep a good environment here. So for anyone that's in the Chicagoland area, if you haven't stopped by before, you should definitely do so.
And for those who would be watching this a little later, always remember every month there is a trade night in Baseline. So just follow them on their social media.
Yeah.
Nick, always a pleasure, my man.
You as well, brother.
Thank you.
Yep.